Hello everyone, my name is Tsuki, and I am back for another video. It's been a while since I posted my last video. Been a lot of personal things going on and some technical issues as well. I had trouble accessing my Square Enix account for the last few days, so I haven't been able to do as much stuff in game as I normally do. That's the why I've been slowing down a bit. Let's clear this. No one wants to see that crap. But yeah, I'm here with another video, and a video that I've been wanting to do for a while, and that I get a lot of questions about, asking me to do the video, and that is a HUD setup, Hotbar setup type video. Now, this is actually my second time recording this, because the first time I recorded this was an absolute disaster. I had a lot of rambling and other stuff like that, so hopefully I will do better this time, be a lot more clean and cut and smoother than last time, because the last time was just it was an absolute disaster, and I'm rambling again, so I'm already not doing so well. But yeah, before I start messing up some more, let's just dive right into it. So first off, I want to talk about where I have everything and why I have everything where I have it, and why I like where I have everything, basically. That made sense. So real quickly, if you didn't know, if you're on the PS3 or PS4 version of the game, you can activate your virtual mouse by clicking L1 and R3 at the same time, and you can basically use this as a real mouse in case you don't have a mouse plugged into your console, and you can basically use it like a real mouse and click things and drag it, basically, if you want. I'm just going to use this as kind of like a pointer so you can know where I'm actually referencing and talking about. So down here I have my chat. It's up to the point, it's big enough to the point where the top of it ends right where the bottom of my party list would end if I had a full party of 8 people and a pet. Basically, if I had like my Faerie, my Eos, or Celine down here, it would end just right where this line is, where the top of the chat is. So that's kind of where I like my party list and where I like my chat list, kind of taking up this left side area over here. Above my party list, I'll have my limit break gauge up here. Let's just pull up this. I'll have my limit gauge break up here. You can't really see it because I'm not in a party of at least 4 people right now, but that's where it would be. To the right of my party list, kind of just going right, I have my enemy list, and basically this will just put the enemies that I have aggroed in a list, and it will scroll down just right beside the party list. That's where I like to have it. And to the right of that, I have my target bar. So the main target I am targeting, whether that be a ally, so when I'm healing them, or whether that be an enemy, they will be right here, and I'll show that in a bit. Right now, let's do this. Let's get out of this. So let's hit the striking dummy. As you can see here, party list, my enemy list right next to it, and then just going straight in the line, have the targeting, what I'm targeting, and then who the target I'm targeting is targeting, which is me. So I'm targeting the striking dummy, and the striking dummy is targeting me back. I have it set up so that it doesn't actually obscure my minimap over here at all. It's just kind of a little over the top, but it's not enough to, you know, block what the information that the map can provide. Another thing, if I put detrimental effects on it, so if I put like a damage over time arrow, there you go, then you're right here, you know, just looking straight in line, and then up here, my beneficial effects, those are my free company buffs. If I put something like regen, or use Shroud of Saints, or something like that. Right above it, if I have detrimental effects, they'll be kind of like right over here. And that's just kind of where I like to have everything in terms of combat, just kind of in a straight line up here, you know, all just for me to sort of scan left to right whatever I need to look at any given point in time. That's why I like having everything kind of all up right here. Some people like stuff all down here with their abilities. I like them, like my combat stuff up here, and all this stuff down here. You know, don't really have much of a problem looking up and down. It's just kind of used to it. But yeah, that's why I like having those stuff where they are. Local time right here. If you want, you can click it Eorzea time, very helpful for when you're doing stuff like sightseeing log or gathering and stuff. But if you don't, I like having the local time up usually when I'm not doing anything important like that. Just have the local time there so I can just see it. Quests, duty lists, basically that's all this is right here, down here under my minimap. I can't actually show you it right now, but if I'm doing something that has more than basically like Circus Tower or Void Arc, basically alliances will show up right here. It'll block some of my duty lists, but again, if I'm in an instance, it doesn't matter what my quests are. Also kind of block my inventory grid right here, but again, that isn't very important when I'm inside of a duty. Loot, ready checks and stuff like here, notices will appear kind of right up out here, and then the rest of that stuff on the right side kind of doesn't matter. It's just showing me if I hover over item where it'll pop up on the right side. That's basically all it's saying. And you know, that's that. And then we have, of course, this, which is basically in the same default spot. I moved it down a little just so I can have more space in this middle area too for visibility. So I kind of squeezed it down a bit. But basically, EXP bar, I actually kind of don't need this here anymore on my main because all my classes are 60 already, but I like having it there regardless. Parameter bars, now some people like to have just, you know, have this party list here and not have this parameter bar, but since they changed it so that you can't actually see your TP number anymore, I still use this mainly for when I want to look at stuff, and just use this for reference when I'm referencing my party. Yeah, that's there. And then I have my cross hotbar, this horizontal hotbar, which I will get into later, and then these vertical hotbars. I have two of them, kind of side by side, and that's that. So that's how I like to place everything. But questions I get a lot are, well, how do I put this horizontal hotbar on here? How do I activate all the buttons on here? And then also the vertical hotbar is the exact same thing as the horizontal hotbar. And then also another thing I get questions about is why I place things where I place them on my hotbar, my cross hotbar. So first off, let's talk about the horizontal and vertical hotbars. In order to access this, first off, you need to be on the PS4 version or the PC version. I'm pretty sure the PS3 version does not have the option to have the vertical or horizontal hotbars. At least back when I played on the PS3 version before I upgraded to the PS4 version back in February of 2015. These were not available to use on the PS3 version, so I'm sorry if you're on the PS3 version, but you can't do this. But if you are on PC or PS4, all you have to do when using a controller, all you have to do is nope, wrong thing, character, hotbar settings, and then you see here horizontal hotbar display. Make sure that they're on display. If they're not on display, then they'll be hidden and you can't add things onto them. Well, I guess you can, but you won't be able to see it, which kind of defeats the purpose of it. So make sure they're displayed, and then you can also do that in HUD layout here. As you can see here, press triangle to hide or display them. Make sure that they are displayed if you want to use them. And then it's just a matter of dragging items onto it. So you can just take anything you want and drag it onto your hotbar. There you go, it's there. Also, you see here, you see all these little white spots for where you want to slot things in. They only appear when I'm trying to move things. If you want to keep those on or hide them, what you have to go do is hide unassigned slots. I have it checked right now. If I uncheck it, as you can see, I have all these white spots, which looks very ugly for the way I have it set up specifically. So if you want to turn those off, make sure to click this on, and there you go. And you can move stuff around. Now if you want to make it so that you don't accidentally move stuff, you know, if you're actually playing with a mouse on PC or on PS4, because you can't play with a mouse and keyboard on PS4, there's a little padlock here. Make sure that it is locked and you won't be able to move anything. So you know, if you're using the mouse and you're clicking things, you know, when you're clicking it really quickly, sometimes you'll click it and then you'll hold it when you're going to move around your character and stuff, and then you'll move it off your bar and then it'll be gone. So if you're doing that, make sure you lock it so that you press things and you don't accidentally lose it and move it off your hotbar. So if you unlock it, you can still move things off your hotbar. And if you want to move stuff off your hotbar, actually, you just click it, drag it, click again, and then there you go, it'll disappear. And there you go. Same thing with these vertical hotbars. Same thing as the horizontal hotbar. Move into the place you want to move it, and then just move skills onto it that you would like. Now, something to keep note of: if you would like, make sure that you're only using this hotbar on a per class and job basis. Make sure that in the hotbar settings you have it so that under sharing it isn't clicked. If you have it clicked, it will share. For instance, this horizontal hotbar is not shared. It's completely different for every class and job I have. But if you look at this hotbar, these hotbars 7 right here that are moving around right now, and 8, these are shared hotbars. These are the same across every job, and it says so right here, shared. See, 7 and 8 are shared across all my jobs. So if I switch jobs right now, let's switch to Astro Loaded. These stayed exactly the same, but these all changed. If I switch to Bard, again, these stayed the same. This changed, so that's something to keep in mind. Works exactly the same across hotbars as well. My hotbars 1 through 4 are different for each class. Just showing that right now. See, it's different for each class, but hotbars 5, 6, 7, and 8 are the same because these are, minions. This is mounts and markers, more minions and other stuff, party finder, challenge log, and then these are emotes. So I want those to be the same across all my classes, but these other stuff you don't want to stay the same. You want them different for your classes because, well, you want different hotbars for different classes. That's just how it is. And you want. So let's get rid of that. So there you go, clear log. That's what this button is. Sometimes I get questions about what these buttons are. This is mount roulette, menu roulette, return, my eternity ring. So if I click this, and my spouse was online, which she isn't right now, then I would teleport to her. This has I think a 30-minute cooldown, and then my potion cooldown right down here. So this, these are information that I want on all of my classes because it's relevant to all of my classes. But these things up here, like these are abilities that are specific to white mage, so I only want them on my white mage. So that's kind of why I have those set up the way they are. And yeah, that's how you get the vertical and horizontal hotbars, and that's how you can put stuff onto them. And that's a question I get a lot. Also, these are for reference only. These buttons in particular are for reference only. I don't actually click my mouse. I don't actually bring out my virtual mouse and click these because these are combat abilities basically, and it would take way too much time to click my mouse and then hover over stuff like that. It's bad. So basically these are all buttons that are on a different hotbar than my main cross hotbar 1. As you can see here, they'll be either on my cross hotbar 2 or cross hotbar 4, which is my expanded hotbar, and I'll get to the expanded hotbar in a little bit. But basically these are only for reference. They're all, as you can see, they're all cooldowns. They're all abilities or cooldowns that have a lengthy cooldown that aren't on this main ability. Sometimes I'll put abilities that are kind of high priority that I want extra visibility on. So as you can see, I have draw and spread here, which are already down here, but I like having this extra visibility kind of just in the middle of the screen when I want it to be there. So I just have this extra visibility so I don't have to constantly look down here. So that's kind of how I handle the horizontal hotbar and that. So how I set up my cross hotbar. So basically I use 4 for job specific hotbars. The third hotbar is basically kind of the same between all my classes. Over here I usually have my mounts, and if the job has different stances, like the Astrologian does. It has the 2 stances right here. I'll usually keep them here. If I go into a different class, Paladin, for instance, has 2 stances. Warrior has 2 stances, and basically I'll keep them down here because and I'll just, whenever I want to switch between them, that's how I would do it. I'll just manually hit R1 and then go to my Crosshopper 3 and click it down there. And that's where I keep my mounts. This is limit break. This is pretty much in the same spot for all my jobs. This spot is usually for markers 1, 2, 3. Sometimes I have circle, X, or something like that. Zodiac glass. You know, these 2 buttons are usually completely random what I have here. Sometimes I don't have anything. This button is for summoning my Chocobo, which I can't summon here in the residential district. This is for withdrawing it. Food and potions usually go into these 3 buttons right here. That's usually how my 3rd hotbar is set up on basically all my classes. You can see right here, Machinist, Bard, basically all the same stuff. There you go. Now, for the rest of my hotbars, let's switch back to White Mage real quick, since this is the one I get the most questions about. Where I actually like to put everything. So, this main hotbar, this first cross hotbar 1, I'll call it. This is where I like to put the skills that I need to use often, basically. As you can see here, these are all abilities that I need to use often. These right side abilities are usually the buttons I need to press the most. These are the buttons I need to press often. These are the buttons where I'll need to press these buttons more than once, constantly throughout any encounter, basically. And that's why they're here on this right button. This left side, a little less urgent with the button pressing, or a little less pressing. Usually I'll put like important cooldowns like Divine Seal. Here's a cooldown. Asylum is a cooldown right here. Hold that down. Arrows where you don't need to press it as often as any of these other buttons. And you know, Stone Skin, Swift Cast, Cleric Stance, again, you don't need to press these as often as you would need to press these buttons. These 4 buttons right here, these are my sweet buttons, I like to call them. These are the buttons that I press the most. This is where I'll put my main primary combo if I'm using a job that has combos. I'll showcase that in a bit. But basically, you know, I have Stone 3 here, very important. I'll need to spam this quite a bit when I'm doing damage. Cure 1, Cure 2 are on this as well. Again, very important for White Mage to have these buttons. You need to press them quite often. Arrow again. These other 4 buttons, a little less urgent than these 4 buttons. So basically, kind of just goes down, kind of from a right to left, basically urgency and time. I don't know why I'm saying urgency, but the amount of frequency. That's the word I'm looking for. Frequency and how many times I press the button. So I have healing over time and damage over time effects usually on these buttons over here. I have Medica and Isuna, so those are pretty important buttons as well. And as you move down the line, kind of get less and less urgent, and the times needed. Right, there again, the girl goes saying urgent, frequent, and the amount of times I need to press them. So if I move over to Astrologian real quick, as you can see, it's basically the same thing. Benefit 2, basically the same thing as Cure and Cure 2, the exact same spot. Combust, again, basically the same thing as Arrow in terms of functionality. Combust 2, again, same spot as Arrow 2 was. Malefic 2, same spot as Stone 3. Helios, Exalted Detriment, same spot as Medica and Isuna. And Central Dignity. Surprisingly, I don't have Aspect of Benefit here. I have Essential Dignity instead, but it's an instant cast heal, basically same as Regen, so kind of the same mentality. I just, for some reason, I got used to having Essential Dignity here and Aspect of Benefit here, and I just rolled with it. But Stone Skin, Swift Cast, Cleric Stance, you know, exact same spot as I was on White Mage, so you get the, you know, I like to keep things consistent across my classes. Switch to Scholar right here. Physic, same spot as Cure and Benefit. Adloquium, basically I consider this the similar equivalent to Cure 2 and Benefit 2, so that's why that's there. Ruin, you know, that's my main thing for doing damage. Actually, it should be Broil right now. I moved that over. Show Broil. main thing for doing damage. Lustrate, again, instant cast heal. Sukkar, AoE heal, same spot as Helios and Medica. Leeches, same spot as Susuna, and then these buttons are exactly the same. So I like consistency across my classes, and I'll go to a combo ability that has combos. Heavy swing, you usually go 1 here, 2 here, 3 here. That's usually how I do it for all combos, basically. There aren't any dots on this on Warrior. I guess there is Fracture, but I have that somewhere else. But for instance, here's a dot, Going Blade. That's where I put a dot. Let's see what else. Bard has dots right here in these 2 slots. So this is where I like to put dots. As you can see, if I move over to Monk, again with the combo here, Boot Shine into True Strike into Snap Punch. So again, with that 1, 2, 3, and then dots here again. And then again, more cooldowns here that you don't need to press off unless your field howling mist, stuff like that. So that is the mentality with how I set up this cross hotbar 1. Cross hotbar 2, usually I like to keep a lot of this right side completely the same, and then this left side is usually where I'll put cooldowns that I don't need to press as much, that aren't nearly as helpful. Usually defensive cooldowns will go down here. Usually so Featherfoot, and I think I have Bloodbath on this macro here. Then I have Mantra, defensive cooldown, Invigorate. If class has Invigorate, I'll always put this in this spot in cross hotbar 2. And then if there aren't a whole lot of abilities that I need to translate over to this left side, I'll usually just take whatever's on my cross hotbar 1 and then translate it over to this side. So that's how that is. Dragoon is an example of a class that really has a lot of buttons to press that are kind of important, and I just kind of put them over on this left side, and it's almost nothing like how it is on cross hotbar 1. So that's, and even some of these abilities, I like to keep this these set of buttons almost exactly the same. Even some of these abilities need to be changed because Dragoon is a complete mess when it comes to playing with the controller sometimes, I feel. But yeah, let's go back to Warrior. As you can see here, almost completely the same. This right side, only thing is Storm's Eye and Storm's Pass switch places, and then this complete left side is completely different from cross hotbar 1. So that's the mentality I have. Cross hotbar 2. This is where I put abilities that I don't press as often, but are still important to press, I guess. And that's how I have that. Now, the expanded hotbar, which is I have as cross hotbar 4. This is the last hotbar that I have. This is where I put abilities that I want quick access to, but I don't need to press as often, so as the abilities on cross hotbar 1, basically. A little different than cross hotbar 2. Cross hotbar 2, I have these buttons here. I know where they are. I can just hit R1 once, and then it cycles to cross hotbar 2, and then I can press it. This, in order to get to cross hotbar 4, this expanded hotbar, you need to actually hold L1 and R2, and that will bring this up. So I can be in cross hotbar 1, cross hotbar 2, cross hotbar 3, doesn't matter. There you go. Brings this up, as you can see, brings up these 8 buttons. Now, I'll show you how to set this up in a little bit, but basically what I like to put here, I always put Sprint in this exact same button across all my classes and jobs. Sprint is always here, but I have things like Provoke, Flash, Fracture, Bloodbath. Let's go into something else. Go into my White Mage, for example. I have important stuff. Let's clear log because I have that RMT. Don't want that there. Tetragrammaton, Shroud of Saints, Stone Skin 2. These are all very. These 4 buttons are pretty important. Blizzard 2, not very important. Surecast, Fluid Orb, pretty important as well. Let's look at Astrologian. I have Aether, Celestial Opposition, Time Dilation, Arrow, Shuffle, Disable, Royal Road, all very important, and I can just access that by pressing L1 and or L2 and R2 at the exact same time. Now, to set this up, you have to go to Character Configuration, Hotbar Settings, go to Cross Hotbar, and then you go to Expand, Hold Controls, and then you click this, and then you can set which hotbars you want. So Cross Hotbar 4, basically this says the left side of Cross Hotbar 4. Hold on. Basically that means this. Hotbar 4, you can see the 4 right here. This is what that means. That activates that. So whenever I press what was it, L1, L2 to R2, it will bring up these cross hotbar right here, and then cross hotbar 4 right. That's basically the right side of cross hotbar 4 right here. Now actually you can, as you can see here, whoops, let's go back here, you can differentiate between if you press L2 and then R2, or if you press R2 and then L2. So here, so yeah, I have, as you can see here, I have this right set is completely the same as this left set, and the reason why is because I feel like I don't actually need all 16 buttons from this cross hotbar 4. I only need 8. So I just have it so that regardless if I press L2 or R2 first and then press the other one, I'll always get the same 8 buttons. Now you can actually set it up so that it is different. So if you have different abilities on this, if you press L2 and then R2, it'll bring up this set, R2 first, and then L2 will bring up this set. And I can show that here. I think my gatherers and crafters are different. Hold on, botanist. Let's look at botanist. So yeah, see here, this is the R2. If you press R2, L2 first, you'll get this set. If you press L2 and then R2 second, you'll get this set. Let's demonstrate that there. So L2 first and then R2 brings up this set. R2 first, L2 brings up that set. So that's how you do that there with the expanded hotbar. This is extremely useful for fitting all your abilities without having to like toggle through a bunch of cross hotbars. You know, the way I have it set up, I probably should have showed this earlier, but the way I have it set up is so that I just toggle between hotbar 1 and hotbar 2. So if I just, you know, I can just toggle between let's go back to white mage real quick. If I toggle between hotbar and cross hotbar 1 and cross hotbar 2 with a single button, which is R1. So just press R1 over and over again, it just cycles between these two. You can have it cycle between more than that, but I just like having to cycle between these two, pressing one button. You know, I don't have to press anything else. I don't have to hold it down and press, you know, square or X to get to 3 or circle, triangle to get back. You know, I just press R1, cycles between these two. I like that. And then if I need to get to the buttons on my expanded controls, I just hold L2 R2 or R2 L2. You know, again, doesn't matter on my particular setup. It doesn't particularly matter which one I press first. I just need to be holding down both of them at the same time, and it'll bring up these 8 buttons for me to use whenever I want them. So yeah, that's everything. That was kind of a lot longer than I expected it to be. It was almost half an hour. But yeah, that's how I set up my HUD, and that's how I set up my hotbars. Hopefully that was helpful for you if you're playing on the controller and you need a little bit of help. If you're playing on the PS4 or even the PS3, you can get access to these hotbars, like I said, but you can't do the expanded controls on the PS3. And I highly recommend you do, because that just getting used to using the expanded controls will just help with the amount of hotbars and amount of toggling between them you have to do. I highly recommend you get used to that, because it really speeds up your gameplay. You don't have to like think, I need to press R1 and then this to get to this hotbar or whatever. You just, you know, toggle between these two and then hold R1 R2 to get to these buttons. That's how I like to play, and that's yeah. So hopefully you can take how I play and apply it to your own gameplay. You know, maybe you want to set it this expanded hotbar completely different from me. Maybe you want to, you know, if you really wanted to, you can have more than one hotbar. You know, if you want even more, you can put another one on top of this. You can, I think you have options for 4 of each hotbar. You can have 4, nope, you have like 6 horizontal hotbars and then like 4 vertical hotbars. So you know, you can set that up completely how you want. You can set up the size as well. I didn't actually display that, but you can make this smaller or larger at your discretion, however you want it. But there you go. But yeah, there you go. Hopefully that helped you guys. I've been getting a lot of questions about it, specifically about where I keep my buttons, why I put buttons where I put them on my white mage, and also these buttons are the main things I have questions about. But you know, hopefully that answers most of that questions. Hopefully now when someone asks me, I can just direct them to this video. Kind of a long video though, so I'm sorry for that. Couldn't keep it very short, but you know, doing some research on how to, you know, better customize your your gameplay and how you play, and your play style and your hotbars, I think is very important. So hopefully you take this video and you can research it, you can look it up, and you can apply it to how you want to set up your hotbars and how you want to set up your HUD layout. So hopefully that helped. It's been a long video, so let's just wrap it up here. My name is Tsuki. My full name is Fyuria Tsukimori. I am on the Faerie server. I play on the PS4, as I mentioned before. And yeah, feel free to add me to your friends list, or you know, talk to me or whatever if you happen to be on the Faerie server. If you want, also, my free company, I've recently changed the name. It is now Sayonara Memories. But my free company is here. We're a very, very tiny free company. I need to work on recruiting some new people. But if you're interested in kind of a free company that's kind of small, you know, band of people, we all really know each other very well. So it can be kind of hard to get into. We don't really offer, you know, something like a high rating free company would, but you know, if you're interested in joining a free company, you don't have a free company yet, you just happen to be on the Faerie server, or you want to make a character on the Faerie server and you want to join my free company, that is always open to anyone, as long as you're nice, you're not a complete jerk and just want to take everything out of my free company chest. I've had issues with that in the past, don't really want to talk about it. Anyways, I'm getting off track. But that was the video. Hopefully you enjoyed, hopefully you learned something, and hopefully I'll see you guys next time. Be sure to throw a like if you liked the video, and subscribe if you want more like this, and throw a comment if you have any feedback or extra questions that weren't covered in this video. And I'll see you in a different video. Bye bye guys.